recently I shared my story about manifesting ease during a time of dis-ease, during a time of what others may call overwhelm. Right? We don't use the word overwhelm in the Alliance of World. It is abundance. That's what it is. So I said I had so many other stories of me using the technique that I described and it totally changing my world. So today I want to talk about another technique when I like quantum leaped my finances. And it was in this same technique, same 2-minute structure, but it was just a totally different topic. And so let me tell you about where I was. At the time, I was filing for bankruptcy. I had left a multi-six-figure career and started this business. My clients, while they were thriving, having six-figure days doing the work that I do, I created just a space of drama where I wasn't getting any sales. I was charging $900 a month for coaching, even though I knew what my expertise was. And it resulted in me needing to file for bankruptcy and, all of that stuff. So what I found myself was I was driving Uber. Shout out for Uber, delivering Postmates. This is when Postmates was not a part of Uber, so this is years ago. And so I was driving Uber, delivering Uber Eats and Postmates, doing the Lyft thing in addition to doing my work. And at the time, what I really truly wanted was effortless abundance. I decided to do a 30-day challenge. It was called the Next Level Fab Manifesting Challenge. I think I charged $97, $99, one of those amounts for it. And I decided to pour into the audience. I decided to pour into them. I didn't launch anything else. And I focused on double checking to see if this is working. Last time I recorded, it totally didn't work. Anyway. And so I focused on pouring into my audience and doing this process. I want to just show you how simple I let it be, because I was working like Uber plus doing the things that I needed to do. So I didn't have a lot of time to do, these long breathwork practices and all this other stuff. I didn't have the time for that. So what I did was focus on effortless abundance. Effortless abundance. Okay. And so what that looked like was, and right before I would start to drive, so that means first thing in the morning, I would just be like, oh, effortless abundance, effortless abundance. And I would feel in my body effortless abundance. I would feel how that would feel. I brought the feeling of effortless abundance into my body, even when creditors were calling, even when I was, getting things together to file for bankruptcy, even when I was, focused on, bringing in a certain amount of money every day from Uber. I focused on effortless abundance when there was no evidence of it. And so I would do that in the morning, right, before I started driving. Then, if I took a break, maybe it was like, right close to lunchtime or something, I would do it again and really bring in effortless abundance in my body. I would do it at maybe a mid-afternoon break, right, effortless abundance, or, maybe before dinner, and then right before bed. So that's like 4 times a day. So it wasn't the every hour on the hour that I did in the other story for the ease. And let me tell you what happened. So after feeling, effortless abundance and tapping into effortless abundance every single day, things started to happen along the way. So one of the things that happened for me was I had an intention for $250 days, right? So that's what I was like, okay, if I'm driving Uber, $250 days every single day. And so, I was able to do that in a very short period of time, which I didn't realize. I didn't realize that that was new. I didn't realize that that was something special. The reason why I did, let me tell you this story. I would get $250, and one day I was driving into a parking lot, and it was for the airport, right? So everyone would sit there, and then the drivers would have your thing on, and then in order of how you arrived, you would get these airport rides. I got up, I went to the bathroom, I came back, and I saw there was a bunch of drivers, and they pulled, they were like, hey, they called me over, and I went over to talk to them, because these guys do this for a living. And they were like, how long you been doing this? I said, I just do it just, a little bit at a time, just for a couple hours a day. And they were like, how much you making? And I was like, I do about $250 days, and I said, so, it just depends. Sometimes, it can be a $2,000 week, or it can be, and they were like, how many hours you doing? And I was like, yeah, probably about 4. And they were like, some of them were spending 12 hours to get to that amount, but I was doing it in like 3 to 4. So I'm just showing you how effortless abundance was like boom, 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 because it was so freaking effortless. So where also was effortless abundance showing up in my life? I had clients that would call me, and they would be like, I'm on the payment plan. Can I just pay it off? And they had like 6 months left. I was like, yeah, of course. I had sales come in through my website of things that I wasn't promoting, that I'm like, how did they find this? Effortless abundance. And so I say all this to say is that I was just focusing on that for like a few minutes a day, the 2 minutes every, couple of hours. And so maybe that was 10 minutes total for my day. And I looked back 30 days after I started that, and I had tripled my revenue. Tripled it. Tripled. Cash. And that was the month that I stopped doing Uber for good, because effortless abundance became my default state. And so creating, quantum leaping, manifesting, bringing things into your life does not have to be super hard. You don't have to do 962 steps. You don't have to do a ton of breath work and a ton of healing and all of that stuff. I love healing. I love shadow work. I love all the things. I'm doing it all, right? Because that's what I do. But a lot of these shifts and bringing things into your life, changing your money situation, or bringing more ease into your life can be as simple as just choosing to experience it when there's no evidence of it in your life. And so what are you choosing right now? Can you just choose to experience the feeling of what you want? Because guess what? Your subconscious, your soul, like all of those things, they don't necessarily want the things that you think you want, like the money and the clients. You want what that experience of it is, what it's you are going to experience in your body. That's what you truly want. And so really tap in and say, what do I want? Now, it takes discipline to do this. It takes a ton of discipline. I'm telling you, discipline equals freedom. And that's why I created LIT. Legendary, iconic, and turn the fuck on. I created LIT, the 30-day, 31-day, whatever experience, so that you can start to create this as a habit. And so that you can choose the frequency and truly embody your work, embody who you are, embody the identity of the you who already has the thing that you desire in as little as, 8 to 10 minutes a day, maybe even less. So take this story to see that it doesn't have to be hard. It gets to be easy for you. And understand that whatever you do want, it's not the thing, it's the experience of that thing. So if you can just skip to giving yourself the experience of the thing of course is going to unfold, and it's going to unfold better than you can imagine. Hugs, kisses, all the feels. See you in LIT.